I found my biological father's wedding invitation in the mail. He doesn't know I exist, and the bride is my boss, the woman who's been making my professional life hell for the past 2 years. The invitation wasn't meant for me. It was addressed to my neighbor Susan Harris. Our mailboxes sit side by side in our apartment building, and the mail carrier often mixes them up. Brenna just slipped the misdelivered envelopes under her door, but this one stopped me cold. The elegant cream envelope announced the wedding of Richard Calloway and Victoria Pierce. Richard Calloway parent, the name I'd found on my birth certificate when I turned 18. The name my mother had whispered on her deathbed 3 years ago. Find him if you want, but don't expect much. And Victoria Pierce, parrot of the executive editor who'd hired me at Meridian Publishing, then spent 2 years shooting down my promotion requests, assigning me the most tedious manuscripts, and forgetting to credit my editorial work. I stood in my hallway staring at the invitation like it might bite. The photograph showed them laughing on a beach, per my father's eyes the same unusual gray-green as mine, his smile eerily familiar from my own mirror. Victoria looked radiant, softer than her office persona, her arm wrapped possessively around his waist. I never searched for him. After my mother died, I'd been too caught up in grief, then landing my dream job at Meridian, then trying to survive Victoria's management style. But here he was, about to marry the woman who called my latest project, Adicata Best, in front of the entire editorial team last week. The wedding was set for Saturday at the Westlake Gardens Pink, just 3 days away. According to the invitation, Susan Harris was invited to the intimate ceremony celebrating two souls finding each other later in life. I called in sick the next day, something I'd never done before. I spent hours researching Richard Calloway on mine, to the successful architect with no public mention of a daughter, the man who donated generously to foster care charities. The irony wasn't lost on me. On Friday, Victoria swept through the office announcing she'd be gone for a personal event on Saturday. She dropped a stack of manuscripts on my desk. I need these reviewed by Monday morning. I know it's weekend work, but that's publishing. I nodded, smile frozen in place, thinking about the invitation now hidden in my desk drawer. Congratulations on your wedding, I almost said. Instead, I asked, have you known Richard long? A flash of surprise crossed her face. How did you? She stopped herself. Office gossip travels fast. Yes, a whirlwind romance. 6 months. When you know, you know. She didn't know I'd been born 29 years ago. She didn't know the man she was marrying had abandoned my pregnant mother without a backward glance. Saturday morning, I stood in front of my closet, hands shaking. I hadn't decided what to do until that very moment. The rational choice was to stay home, process this bizarre coincidence, perhaps write Richard a letter after the honeymoon. Instead, I put on my best dress, an emerald green, bringing out those Calloway eyes. The Westlake Gardens was intimate indeed, only about 40 guests. I slipped in with a group entering together, nodding as if I belonged. No one questioned me. I took a seat in the back row just as the music started. When Richard appeared at the altar, my breath caught the same slightly crooked smile, the same way of standing with weight shifted to one leg. Victoria looked genuinely happy as she walked down the aisle, more human than I'd ever seen her. I didn't disrupt the ceremony. I didn't stand up when they asked if anyone objected. I simply watched a ghost at the feast, as the father who didn't know me married, the boss who didn't respect me as guests moved to the reception. Victoria spotted me. Her face registered confusion, then alarm. Emma, what are you doing here? Richard turned, following her gaze. For a moment we stared at each other, part identical eyes meeting across a manicured garden. Do we know each other? He asked, but his expression already held the beginning of understanding. My name is Emma Calloway, I said, voice steadier than I felt. My mother was Melissa Jenkins, and I think we have a lot to talk about. Some discoveries rewrite your past, others completely transform your future. Standing there in the garden, I wasn't sure which this would be.